friends and family, welcome to another live broadcast brought to you by Premier's Turning Point, which your host, Bishop Dr. Uton Lane, and co-host, Overseer Franklin Williamson. We pray and hope that something that is being said today will bless your soul and spirit. Please take a quick moment to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family. Thank you again for joining us. Let's go into our live program.
And
So,
go.
can I interject real quick before you move on?
No, yeah,
Now,
Bishop.
how are the teachers trained to do this? Are they giving any special training? Is this just part of their regular education? I'm coming from I'm a family doctor, so that's why I'm asking
Yeah.
that question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what we do, we set up consortiums in our school district, and each school is required to have a mindfulness team. The mindfulness team is comprised of social workers, members of child study team, support services staff, and administrators, and also teachers from the classroom setting. And they kind of learn, like it's like training the trainer. So we
Mm-hmm.
train them in a small setting, and then they take it back to their professional learning communities within the school setting, because each department has its own community. So when they get back to the community, they convey to the other members of staff what is comprised of social emotional learning, how you need to not just take care of the student, because social emotional learning extends beyond taking care of the student. It's also taking care of yourself as a teacher, because the teachers and the educators themselves, all of us, me included, we are faced with emotional challenges as a result of what's happened with COVID. Every chance I get, I jump in my car and I go to the river and I sit on the riverbank or walk along the river just to take care of my mental state. So that's what it is. The
Mm-hmm.
teachers, we train the trainer go back to the professional learning community and provide the guidelines for the teachers to connect with the students.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's a good point. It's a very good point, and that's why it's very clear that this kind of training takes place because the students, are there. And as a family doctor, I go through the same thing. And when I see a patient, for example, and this is why I really am not touting family practice, but it's more that interaction, talking, listening, and kind of feeling out where people are, which is
Right.
going to give you that, that kind of a view into behind the view that they're presenting, so you can best help them, because you're so right, there's so much that is needed. And one of the thing is, even I have a grandson who is doing virtual as well, and that's my point. They, some of the times I find they're not engaging, they're off screen, but I think it's so important that they're having that interaction, especially if you're all virtual, because you're not having it
Yeah.
in person. All right,
So,
Pastor,
so
piggyback.
yeah, I want to wrap around this, Dr. Gordon, and Carlene, I'll get you in. I'm going to pose a question for
Oh
you
yeah, we're
because
gonna get her. Don't worry.
the housing is a big part. So I want you to wrap your heads around the housing because we have a large number of our students who are in temporary housing, right?
Hmm.
And that also impacts the social emotional. Um, how do one do social emotional techniques virtually? You mentioned that you train the trainer. Exactly what does that look like? Empathy, yes. But the student is sitting there, they have not seen their friends. Do you allow them free time on Zoom the first 5 minutes just to say hi, hello, and then get into the rigor of teaching? Or do you create some pods where they do come together? What do we really do to answer that need for our children?
Thank you. We encourage our teachers to incorporate what we call mindfulness, which is really the same social emotional learning. Mindfulness must be incorporated into your lesson. So when you get on the virtual platform to commence your class, you don't just get to the subject area. You maybe have a quotation, a positive quotation, or you may have a story to tell, or you may have something encouraging to say to the students, or maybe ask the students to share their reflections. That 1 minute component or 2 minutes, it could make such a tremendous difference. It's like you stay at the door of your classroom and greet the students in the morning. It may take just a second, but it's really impacting and figuring if you do this every single day. So this is what we're trying to say. When, as administrators, when we are sending out information to our parents, we try to start off with a mindfulness line. How is everything with you? Please note that we care about you. If you have any concerns, reach out to us. And these are small ways, but they are very effective ways in helping others and helping our parents and our students.
You're saying like words of affirmation.
Affirmation, words.
Positive words, right?
Positive words.
What am I grateful for, right? And what I'm thankful for.
Right.
All right, great. I've seen teachers. Yes.
Sorry. And also, we constantly remind them of the resources that are available. We have an organization that works with our school. We call it the Zone, and the Zone provides all kinds of services, not just mental health services, but if there are physical needs, if family needs food or counseling, whatever. So a part of the social emotional learning is to identify resources that we can point the parents and the students to.
All right, great. Thank you very much. That's fruitful.
Yeah, so that's a very good point, I think, and then that may help us to transition to include our other guests a little bit, because
Yes.
that's, you remember now, a lot of the children, for example, before they were getting their meals at school. Now, most of them were doing breakfast and lunch at school.
Yeah.
So now with the advent of this being all at the home, I'm not sure. I think in the beginning, some of the schools were still giving out all the lunches. They had to pick them up and all that stuff. I'm not sure at this stage in the COVID crisis where we are with that. And of course, we'll talk about the housing and all of that stuff. But in terms of the food, how's that going right now? The students still have that support?
That's
Carlene,
my question.
You want to take that?
Yeah,
You
that's
want to take that,
question. Let me
Carlene?
give you that Carlene, yeah.
Go ahead, Carlene.
I think she's muted again. Go ahead till we get her back. You can go ahead, Doctor.
Okay, your mic is on. Go ahead, Dr. Gordon.
Okay. I'll just, what we did, we haven't, because school has just started and we're trying to sort ourselves out, we haven't addressed that immediately. But last year, during the February to June, she's on? During the February to June.
Yes, I can hear you.
1 minute and we'll pick up on you, Carlene.
Yes, give us a minute.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. We still have that support system with the meal, because even as much as the kids are virtual, they still send out, make lunch available for any kids that need it. It's available for them. So even, for instance, the school that my child attend, it was recently they sent me an email about his lunch, and if he needs his lunch, it is available. And I think that's a great thing, because many parents right now can't afford it, especially for the lower class parents. Those that are in the lower class are not able to provide for their children. And most of these parents sometimes are in the shelter and they're depending on the latest food stamp they're able to get from the city. So that's a very important part of the school system.
Good. And I think in some districts, I guess it's still going on, which is a good support, because, otherwise, some of these children don't have.
Yeah, like I said, the lunch program is still in effect, and that's a very important thing for the school to do, because especially where I work, most of the parents that we deal with are parents that really don't have it. And sometimes these parents have so many children, and most of them are single parents. So with the lunch system in place, it really, really helped. Like I mentioned before, my son, it was 2 days ago, the school called to say that he can come, he can have the voucher to pick up his lunch. And I see it, as much as he really don't need it, but I see it as a good thing, because there are so many children out there who do need this program, and this program does help.
Great, great. And what it does to Sister Carlin, it continues that structure that he's used to, right? And our kids like systems and structures. So we appreciate that. And it's good to know that schools are still having the meal program. Back in the pandemic, when the kids were fully home, they could just drive by and pick it up at
And
any school, and they
right.
could pick up both lunch and breakfast. Now they can still do that, you're saying. Great. All right.
Yes, can.
So that's a great thing, and I think if we continue further in, I think I'm sure they will. I know one school district over in our area, they were like running out of money. So I hope the funds, the government and whoever is supplying the funds, so we can keep this going, because that's the issue we're running into now, because we are prolonged into the pandemic more than anybody expected. So I'm not sure
Yes.
if the budgeting, Dr. Gordon can probably tell us if the budgeting really is keeping up, with all of our needs.
Well, from our end, we'll do what is right by the students. As we said, we tap into the community resources, the zone, which is sponsored by the government, and they provide meals. And if we have students to refer to them, we refer the students. Last year, we were able to provide meals for our students, but this year, we're just still trying, as you know, Pastor Franklin, we're still trying to set up our Zoom and our Schoology and our teams to make sure we deliver instruction, which is challenging. If you don't mind, can I just basically, can I talk a little bit about the parents
Sure. Hmm.
in
Sure,
this?
please.
Because it's not just the children that need guidance, it's their parents also, and parents should ensure that they are looking after their own well-being. I'm hoping that there's some parents who are listening to us right now. Here are some of the best practices you can encourage in parents to help improve the well-being of their children. One, share worries and seek out support from friends and family. Reach out to friends and family and get some support. It's very important. Number two, live a healthy lifestyle by eating well. Stop eating the junk and the comfort food. Exercise, have fun, get enough sleep. All of that is important, because if you're not well, then your child will not be well. Stay well informed and find out more about the topics that you're concerned about. And I'm encouraging the parents, if you have family members or friends who are always sending you negative things about COVID and how many people are dying and what the government is trying to do, cut those friends off, because it's fear mongering, and that is not good for you at all as a parent. So with you and your child, let me just mention this very quickly. Make sure that they know you love them and that you are proud of them. If there's every time you have to be more patient with your child, it is now. Even when things are busy or stressful and you feel like you're not going to make it, you have to be strong for your child. You have to be honest about your feelings. You don't have to be perfect. If you're scared, you can say that I'm afraid. We all get things wrong, and we all shout out at our kids sometimes, or whatever case might be. Apologize if you do something wrong. Be clear about what is and what isn't acceptable. The fact that COVID is in, it doesn't mean that you should allow your children to run the street and to do the things that are not right for them. So I wanted to put that in. And one last thing along this line that I'd like to mention is that how you can help your child. Worrying or difficult behavior might be short-lived, so give it some time. So if a child, cut the child a little more slack in these days. You know what I'm saying? Normally you wouldn't put up with certain behavior, but cut the child a little slack, because all children go through stages of feeling anxious or angry, and they can show this in lots of ways. You know that as parents, and they might be adapting to a change in the family. They might have lost a loved one. The friend might have lost a friend, might have lost a parent. So kids are undergoing stress. Talk to the child, even if they are very young. Talk to them, because they might understand more than you think that they do. And lastly, I'd like for you to make sure that you ask your child what you can do for them. Ask the child, what can I do for you? What do you want? And if you can accommodate the needs of your children, try and do that to the best of your ability, because at the end of the day, these students or these children are undergoing a lot. And later on, hopefully, we can talk about how the parents can look after themselves.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very important points. And I think it's really instructive that even as we're going to flip also talk about what the church can do, that we all take a positive outlook. I mean, and we can really, especially when it comes to the church, we know that, oh, this is going to be for a while, but you know, in the morning, the light shines. And I think we need to encourage one another to look up and just to be encouraged when we see these things that are going on. And I think children, sometimes we underestimate what they're going through. Yes, the parents, you know, as well, but we know the parents are going through, but sometimes we know, oh, that's a child. No, but they're probably dealing with even so much more because some of the things they don't understand. So, you know, so they're confused. And so I think we have to make, there's a good point, make a special effort to reach out to them, talk to them, engage them, you know, be positive with them. So very important. Back to you, Pastor.
Yes, and as you segue into the church, and just to echo some of the points that Dr. Noel mentioned, it's definitely critical and crucial for the parents to be very supportive, especially when you see the behavior of your child change, right? And as the school opens up, they are hearing from their classmates that they lost mom, they lost grandma, and they realize maybe that child no longer attends this particular school. Why? Because there's been some disruption in their family. And especially, you know, regarding the housing, there's a large population in New York City, students who are in temporary housing, and the stability is not there. And you know, we talk about the parents having empathy. Before I jump to the church, the school, what are the teachers? Is the grading policy showing empathy? Are we still expecting 100%? Or is there a curve? Are we still running to the same 4 marking periods? Is the first marking period something that we will say, okay, we're gonna curve that? What are we doing from an academic grading standpoint? Because the kids are getting very nervous and they're trying to adapt to the technology, Schoology. Where do I find the assignment? Upload, my camera doesn't work, my sound is not working. You see technology. So there's another element that comes into play. And as we grade, we also need to modify our grading policies. So Dr. Gordon, talk to me a little bit about what the school is doing on the grading side, because a few parents have shared that concern to me.
Yeah, what we're doing internally from the curriculum end, we are having serious conversations around what do we need to teach? How do we revisit the standards and pull out certain power standards which are very important? And the lesson plans reflecting not 5, 6, 7 power standards, but maybe 1 or 2 standards. Remember, right now, the students are not taking the standardized test. I don't know if it's waived in New York, but for this year, I think it's waived in our state. So you basically need to adjust your teaching strategies, and you also need to adjust your evaluation of our students. In other words, you can't expect the students to hit every point. So you have to select certain aspects of the curriculum. And when you're grading them, that you have to be a little more, not social promotion, but you have to be a little more lenient. Last year, what we did towards the end of the year is we gave a pass-fail. And if the student passed, then the student got the maximum grade. So it sort of helped the student to move along. There's a delicate balance, though, and this is where we need the parents. If we have any parents listening to us, you have to help us to help your children. They cannot just turn on the computer and leave it on for the duration of the class and go back and have fun. You have to ensure that they are engaged, and we will reach out to you as the school. You have to respond to us and help us to help your students. So yes, we have adjusted, and I believe it's done all over, our instructional practices. Make sure we choose very important standards and hit the points. And when we evaluate our students, we make sure that we cut back. In fact, very recently in one of our meetings, PLC type meetings, students complain to us that if we have 5 teachers and each teacher is giving me a 2-hour long assignment, so I'm working during the day and I'm working during the night, I have no time. So our teachers have to be mindful. You have to step back and adjust your evaluation process, if that makes sense.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it
that
does.
does
It
make
does.
sense.
Yes.
It makes good sense because, and I think you have to assess, how much you're getting across to. I mean, from the teachers, you can kind of feeling, how much are, they're grasping and what are they
Yeah.
grasping, and then you gotta, that because we don't want to stress them out even more, by
No.
by all right having this big requirement if we're not even meeting that need. So I think you're right in how they have to adjust the curriculum.
Yes, and if I might interject, also, we are also trying to help the teachers because we're going to our evaluation rubric, and we are actually focusing only on certain things because there are certain things you're not able to evaluate effectively because the students are in the classroom with the teacher. So even when you're talking about something like questioning and student engagement, it doesn't look the same way as it would look in the classroom situation. So we have to
Absolutely.
take really an eclectic or a balanced approach. So we want the parents who are hearing us right now that on the inside, behind the scenes, we are trying to make as much adjustment to accommodate you and your students. And we also, as administrators, we are trying to accommodate the teachers because it's a learning curve for everybody. So we all have to be patient with one another.
And you
And I
know
think
what? We need to do a better job in communicating that to comfort. I know parent teachers conference. A lot of folks don't want to talk to that, but that's definitely a fact. When you look at the Denison framework and you look at you stop and you jot and you talk and turn, all that stuff is not happening virtually. And
Yeah,
so
we've
therefore we have to really now pause, look at the rubrics, look at the assessment, and I really think that for the rest of this year it should be a pass or fail. It should be a pass or fail, especially not having the state exams, right?
yeah.
And remove that anxiety from the children and our students so they can really blossom and maybe move to a
Yeah.
project-based type of learning.
Definitely,
one point,
definitely. And
yeah. Mhm.
so,
Go
and
ahead.
to add to that, as you mentioned the project-based learning, all of that is also very, very important to adjust. I was going to make a point, but it slipped me. I guess it will come back to me. Go ahead. I'll remember in a minute.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was gonna chime in that and I'm sure Carlene sees this also. The communication is what's so important because I can tell you, for example, with my grandson, the teachers are very good at sharing, and then the parent is good responding to that. But if you don't have that, and I can see with some of the challenges that the parent who doesn't really have a place to live, who has, probably can't even be there for most of this. It gets, we're going to lose a lot of stuff in that. So I think we have to keep reiterating the need for that good communication. I don't
Right.
know if
So
Carlene.
Carlene,
Mhm.
so Carlene, go ahead,
Yeah,
Carlene.
which is true because the school that my son attend, they're very strict in a sense that once he sign on, he has to be in front of that camera. They're not gonna, if he step away, they're gonna call or text. Or if even if he's going to use a restroom, he has to let them know that he's stepping away to use a restroom. So I was wondering when you mentioned that some kids they sign on and they're just not there, if there is a policy or a restriction or that the child, once that child sign on in the class, the camera should be on. Is that
Yeah.
a part?
In our school district, we have protocols, and one of the protocol is that the student must sign on, and you must show your face. And it is a teacher's responsibility to enforce that. So we tell our teachers. The teacher said to us, if I ask a student to show his face and he didn't show his face, what do? I said, reach out to the parent and get a response. If it happens again, then turn it over to us, the administrators, because at the end of the day, we want to help our students to be successful, but we cannot socially promote them. they have to learn. So if the student is not preparing himself or herself for the learning and being involved in the class, then we cannot really give the student a grade. Then our credibility is questioned. So if the teacher holds the student accountable, then we get the parents involved, and the student doesn't change. And hey, there's a consequence for that. We can only do our best.
And that's a nice segue into the church, because what can the church do now to really help? The burden has to be distributed not just from the educational system, but in the church. For example, as you mentioned, Carlene, where the child is not on camera. There are times when it's not the child's fault, right? And I think that's where the questioning and the reach out to the family. There's also a time when the child is just camera shy, right? Don't have a camera presence. So what can the church do? And let me elaborate a little bit.
Before you ask the question, Pastor,
Yes.
I think one of the things which you really just hit me, they may be camera shy. They may be ashamed of their surroundings.
Yes.
They may be.
That's a big one.
They may also have those situations where there's 3 children, and there's a competition for the space, and so there's a lot that goes into it that I think we really have to see why are they not coming on camera. So I just wanted to interject that.
No, I'm glad to say. Go ahead, Carlene. Go ahead.
In addition to that, what I noticed are some parents were at night. By the time the parents get in, they have the child sign on. The parents, try to get some rest. And because I see that firsthand, and the child will step away from the camera playing, and and if a next adult is not in the home to say to the child, go back to your class or so on, for that child is like, this is just a game.
No, that's critical. And as Bishop mentioned, housing, we have seen where there are 3 kids home and they don't have the space to have one child in bedroom A, one child in living room, one child. So therefore they're all in the same space. You can hear the mic squeaking. So, and also their surrounding is noisy. And what doesn't happen, the device that they give our students doesn't have that green screen like for Bishop where they can do a virtual background. So there's a lot of things. And if I'm in a shelter, really don't want you to see, and my background is very noisy, so I'm going to be constantly on mute. So I think we have to, and what happens also, it creates a bigger problem because in the classroom, we try not to make that student who is coming from a shelter a speckled bird, a spotlight. But now, because they're on Zoom, you're seeing what's in the home, you're seeing where they are, and that creates, another stigma just being on camera. So it's a new way, and Dr. Gordon, I really hope that we are stepping back. And I throw this in before we get to the church. The schedule, as you know, when we look at our child's schedule, it was designed based upon the location and space. Lunchtime is this period. Lunchtime is that period. Gym, that period. Now they are virtual. We need to step back and realize they need to be a virtual schedule. Lunch shouldn't be at 10. Because 11 o'clock is the next grade or 12 o'clock is the next grade. Because the child is sitting there from 10 after having lunch all the way back till almost 3 o'clock. So there needs to be time to step back, get a clean slate. What does virtual learning looks like? All right. Go ahead, chime in. We're going to switch over to the church.
That's one of the areas where we have improved in terms of the school days shortened. So the actual time, so we have A days and B days. So the teachers have the first period when there's no class. They're just interacting with what they have to do. And then we start maybe about 8:55, and by 1 plus school is ended. So we really keep that in mind for our students. making sure that we assist them in that regard.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, and I think but I think it's a good point though that we could, as the parents listening, they may want to talk to their schools to make sure, all the schools are making these kind of adjustments because it's going to be
Right.
important, to help. All right, and I think Pastor, I know we've talked over the past few weeks. One of the things
Yes.
that we think the church can do. Well, we'll see what our guests think. That is what our guests think the church can do to help in this situation.
All right. So, Carlene, what can the church do to help? I mean, you talk about your son, and then think about your school class, those students coming into you. What can the church do? What is the
Well,
church doing?
the church also have we have a Sunday school system in place, so we have access to a lot of the children that are in school, so to speak, because they are the same children that attend our Sunday school. So basically, the church can reach out to the parents or find out if they need any assistance, because that's very important. Sometimes we don't know the parents' schedule. So like you mentioned earlier, sometimes that parents can have 4, 5 children in the same home and just need a little help from someone who's available. And maybe sometimes because that's a single parents after work, sometimes the parents just leave the kids and say, please sign on and you know what I have to do. But us as Christian, we can reach out to these parents and find out if there's anything that we can do, if we can assist them in any way or manner. Like, sometimes also they need assistance financially too, not just socially, but financially. So we as a church, as a body of Christ, can find out what these parents are going through and how can we best assist them, because also this is a part of our Christian journey.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else, Dr. Gordon, that the church can do in addition to what Carlene mentioned?
Yeah, I'll probably first start on what the church should not do. How about that?
Okay. Let's do the negative.
I think I've been saved from 1976. That's almost 50 years. My goodness. And I realize whenever there's a catastrophe or something of this magnitude, we always point to the coming of the Lord, and the Lord is going to come now. And and we also started to teach Daniel 70 weeks, and the trump of God shall sound, the dead in Christ shall rise, which we know God is going to come. But why do we always react like this when we have situation? This is not a time to heighten the anxiety. This is a time to de-escalate. So the first thing I think the church should learn to do is to de-escalate, is to bring things down, create an environment of comfort and peace and hopefulness for our people. And the other thing that the church does when we have pandemics or difficult times is that we blame the people because the people are not praying. And if my people, which are called by my name, should pray, and then they bring this guilt trip upon church people, understand that they're dealing with COVID. They're dealing with loss of work. They're dealing with the losing their apartment. And then they go on the Zoom or go to the house of God. And what they are hearing now is that you're not going to make it in and you're the reason for the coronavirus. First of all, I believe that what churches need to do, and I understand we have the spiritual piece down pat, but one of the first things we need to do in the social emotional realm or in the mental realm is to identify individuals within the faith community and outside of the faith community, people with credibility, to bring them in to handle the issues surrounding mental issues. You can't use a barber to do a surgery. Dr. Lang, can you imagine me as an educator going in your office and diagnosing a case? So preachers and pastors and churches, we have to understand that these are not the times when we're going to impose our fears on the people. Find the people with the skill sets who are able to come in and help us to first settle the minds of the people. So that's where I'm going to start, because we cannot really spiritualize everything. There's a spiritual component and there's a natural component. So that's where I want to start.
All right, so before you
So
go
the
to the
church,
next point, before you go
yes,
to the next point, I totally agree. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that, maybe also because I'm a family doctor and I kind of deal in families, and because our whole church aim is to put families together, it's so much more important to set people mind, let them realize that God is love, God is there for them, we're there for them, we're there to help one another. And if we can come together at that level, they're going to know we're Christians by our love, not by us, telling them, all the things. Yes, the gospel is necessary and we preach it, but you know what? We have to preach it from a stance of love to let people realize that when they're in their difficulties, that is when will step in. And even though it looks like, oh, what's going on? God is not there. We know is there. But you know what? If they remain calm, as you're saying, and with their mind stayed on God, then things are gonna happen. And I'm telling you, it's really ashamed when we hear some of the things that are going across the airways and that preachers are saying and just trying to stir up people fear. And listen, that's not going to get people to Christ, because you know what? As we see it, even with the 9/11, as soon as that is over, they're right back where they were, because
yep.
they were just afraid of this one circumstance. But what we need to do is to teach them about the love of God. I mean, and it's
I,
well,
I know,
let's not go off too much, but let's bring
yeah,
it back.
no, but we're on the church side. The Bible teaches perfect love
Yes.
cast out all fear. So, in addition to the emotional need, one of the ways we're putting together, the BOI, bring your own device, where we have a lot of resources in the church where folks are technically savvy, and we're going to set up the big, large screen, and we're going to simulate your day. Bring your schedule to church, right? And we are going to something I did for my daughter, and the principal reach out. The class schedule is now Zoom, and why not on her schedule, on your child's schedule, include the Zoom codes, right? So period one, it's math, and here's the Zoom code. Period two, ELA, the Zoom code. And if you want to go further, create a clickable link, right? So they're just going right in, and take away the stress and the way of finding. Also, you mentioned Schoology, you mentioned different platforms, Blackboard. What I don't see happening is time given for the student to learn the platform, right? So now we may need to have technology on our curriculum. It should not be an elective, right? It could be part of the ELA too, but we need to take time, and for now and for the rest of the year, do some technology. You're doing math. Here's an Excel spreadsheet. Here's how you do computation. Here you do the average. You're doing ELA. Here's how you do a PowerPoint. So we need to amplify the use of technology now more than ever, and also deal with plagiarism, because our kids are cut and pasting and sending in these lofty work, and they say they're done. And you and I know that's not how she speaks. That's not how he speaks. So it's a whole new paradigm shift from the home to the classroom to the virtual classroom. So what
I
can the
think
church do? Yes.
I think there's a way the church could. You know what I discovered when we
Yeah.
went to the COVID season? We started doing Zoom, and I'm still telling how the church could help. We started doing Zoom, and we also did Facebook Live, etc. But we lost quite a few of our people in terms of them interacting or connecting with us. They are so illiterate when it comes on to technology. And I'm saying, all these years we were in the church, and I thought that more people, were, inclined to
Would have
engage,
gravitated.
gravitate towards technology. So here what happens. Here's one thing the church could do. Hindsight is 2020, but going forward, as soon as we're able to come together, and even with social distancing, we need to sort of have courses in teach the parents, the young parents, how to navigate Zoom or Schoology or whatever. Teach our students how to handle these things so that when the student goes home at night, the parent can assist them, because many times, especially younger children, they need help, but the parent doesn't have the first clue on how to assist. So the church can help in that manner. So continuing the vein, so I remain in context. I don't think the focus here should be in Bible study on Daniel 70 weeks right now. I don't think Daniel 70 weeks should be the focus now. I think the focus now should be, how do I acquire the skill set or the insight so that when I get into a depressive mode, I'm able to get out of it and to understand what's happening to me when I'm faced with traumatic situation. I remember, I want to commend Bishop, the church in Patterson, Bishop Mitchell, who passed not too long ago. I want to commend them. When Bishop Mitchell passed, they reached out to me and they asked me to facilitate a presentation on trauma, how to deal with traumatic situations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that was such a powerful experience because we allowed the members to vent. And there's this young lady who said, I worked in the hospital and I know what COVID does to people. And I just couldn't deal with it, because when I realized what my pastor was going through and I'm angry, and I was able to say it's okay to be angry. I didn't say, sister, let's pray for you and plead the blood of Jesus and rebuke anger.
Get out your anger.
No. Let her release that. Let her release the anger. It's important.
Exactly. So we have to create forums. Here is the other thing. We have to. Now is not the time for us. I watched a pastor once. He was in his living room and he was doing a Zoom. And he got up and he started preaching and he became sweaty and he took off his shirt and he was yelling and screaming. I know we get happy sometimes. Last week, Sunday, I got happy when I preached. But now is not the time for the yelling and the screaming. Now is the time to connect cognitively, emotionally with your people and have conversations. What we do on a Thursday night, bishops, what I do on a Thursday night, my dear sister, what we do on a Thursday night is we have what we call a Zoom hangout, where the members of our church come together and all they do is what they want to talk about. Nope, it's not a prayer meeting, it's not a Bible study. They just get down, sit in their couches and talk. So we need to allow our young people and our older people to talk, find forums where they can share what's happening to them, because they're going to implode. And these are ways, systemic ways we can help our people.
Yes,
Yeah,
to chime into that.
and yes.
Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go first.
and the church does it. There's so many things we can share what the church have been doing. Testimonies, we call them testimonies. It's hanging out, right? And you let the saints know we're not recording this. This is not on Facebook Live. This is not going on YouTube. This is a trusted space, right? And when you think about the 12-step program, it began in the church, right? And the Bible said, confess your faults one to another. And there goes the healing. So yes, I do believe the hangout, that's a nice new nomenclature, but it's testimony, right? Where we can share and pass the mic around. But then you also have folks who are Zoom fatigue. They just don't want to get on Zoom. And there's a lost population there now that we still have to do a drive-by. We got to drop off a packet. We got to still make a phone call. We got to ask how you're doing. And still, I was in a meeting last night and I said, Pastor, can you send us a letter in the mail? And, I kind of chuckled. I'm like, you know what? I may just do that, Bishop, because if that's someone's need, I got to meet that need.
And I think we have to reach out. We have to reach out more. What we have done to as well is we have kept also our conference line. And for those people who still don't like the Zoom or can't get on, so we'll even conference them in to our Zoom. And that way they feel like they're part. And then we actually just got one, and we still do our conference line for a lot of stuff, because we find a lot of people talk on the phone, when they may not want to come on Zoom or anything. But I think here the key point is this is a time for us to see what people need and meet those needs. It's not a time to be so worried, because this, I'm coming back to it. They're gonna know we're Christians by our love. Even our saints gotta know that we love them when we show love. And I think it's really so important for the church. And I think one of the things, just to grab on what the church can do, one of the community centers are doing is that they charge a little bit, but they have a big space. It's one of our new community center opened up, so they have time the kids can't, like, for those parents who can have to go to work, drive, have to work different hours. So they basically the kids come there during school hours, just as they would for school. They have enough space to do the distancing, and then they have people who are supervising, so they can be on their task. They be basically going to school at a different facility other than home. And I think one of the things we've talked about is about Pastor Franklin, churches may be able to open up their space, especially those with big spaces. They be able to open up those spaces. They already have internet connections, and we could have some on a volunteer basis, few people have time to really just supervise them,
Right.
and so the parents get some relief, the parents get some help, and we know what the students and the people are then doing, because we have them kind of supervisors. One of the things I think we want to reach is spread out to all of the churches out there to explore ways that you could help, and potentially you could even charge a small amount to help the person if you can't find somebody to volunteer, just to pass that. So that's one of the things I think we want the churches to explore, where they may be able to step in.
And Sister Carlene, I wish I had the real estate of my headquarters church where you attend, because that would be something to start up right away. And I know that's your passion. I remember what you did a couple of years ago. So I think you may go ahead.
To mention it. Yeah, I will definitely mention it to our assistant pastor, and then we can take it to the next level, because that is true. Because we have space, and I think a lot of parents and children will benefit from it.
Absolutely. And so let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And I think you will be a very good evangelist for that type of program. And it's also outreach, right? Because that's one of the things we talk about, outreach. We should be growing our ministry now more than ever. So we got to maximize that opportunity. As our governor says, seize the moment. All right. Anything else? Go ahead, Bishop.
And as I always said, remember now, the church is not a building, it's us.
Yes.
And we're gonna have to share ourselves, with the world. That's how we share the church, and also the community that we serve. We should be integral part of that community. And so, what is the community needs? Because that's how they're gonna know that we're the children of God. They're gonna see what we're doing, and I think every opportunity we get, we have to use that to really share God's love. And then, they will come, they'll learn when they realize that God loved, they'll learn more about him. Then they'll realize that there's a judgment. Yes, we can tell them once in a while, but we don't have to, especially in this time, just make that our platform, and like we say, okay, you see, you're in trouble now. Good, you better turn around, you're gonna die, type of thing. But we need to share and let God. So we're gonna go around the room for a last minute comments. We'll start with Carlene. Any last minute words you wanna spread or share?
I don't know if we talk about the rental issue for many parents too, because that's a big problem that a lot of them are facing, and that also have a big impact on their life, because when even though we know it's COVID, yes, but the landlord still asking the tenant for their rent, and the tenant not working, can't pay the rent, have so much on their plate, and sometimes they are so frustrated, don't know what to do. And they, like he said, everything is online, because even with my job, for them to get there, now they have to go online, fill out the application before we can even interview and process it. And a lot of parents, some don't know how to do it. And this is where, I really see that they need help in those area, because remember, it's not everyone can read, and the parents sometimes, because of that too, they end up abusing their children, because the frustration that built up in, they don't know what to do with it. So sometimes what they do, they take it out on the children. So we as so we want to look into that, because so many are out of a job. We are fortunate that we still have our job, but there are so many people you deal with every day. Some are so frustrated, and not only that, some people have their master degree and don't have a job, can't pay their rent. And these are some of the things that even the church, we well, we at Snyder, we try to reach out to some of those parents who lost their job, can't afford to pay their rent, and need financial, not just, they need financial help. And back, thank God for this podium. This is my first time. I know I don't have much to say, but I learned so
All
much,
right.
Dr.
You did
Newton
well.
and Pastor Frankie Williamson and Dr. Noel. Yes,
Gordon.
I learned so much from you guys, and thanks for this opportunity. And I hope there will be a next time. God bless.
There will be a next time, and we thank you for your input. And I pick up on one thing that you said is I think the church can also help by being a resource center. So, and I
Yes,
think we
yes,
talked about
yes,
before,
yes.
we have get a list of resources, and also be an assistant with people to access the resources. So if we know people are having difficulty, or different groups in church, and a lot of the younger people have more savvy and stuff, or even some of the older ones, but we can also help people with their applications. First tell them what they need to apply for and help them with that. And I think on our website, we're trying to list also a list of resources, and we were actually gonna, those people we know not so internet, we're gonna mail out the list, and just, or when we talk to them, tell them about it. And then, do you need assistance even to fill out the paperwork? Because we may not have all the finances to support everybody financially, but if there's a place they can find it, we can direct them and help them to get there. Right. Dr. Gordon, you're at the time as we.
Yeah, Sister Carlin, excellent job. I learned a lot from what you said, and can we borrow you here in New Jersey for a little bit? What I like to close out is basically say, how do you look after yourself? Talking to our parents and our caregivers of our children. If your child is having problems, don't be too hard on yourself, or don't blame yourself. Okay, children often take it out on those closest to them, so you might be feeling the effect of their very powerful emotions. So just take it easy. Don't blame yourself. If you had a difficult time growing up yourself, you might be feeling kind of guilty when you see your child expressing those emotional problems and thinking that it might be genetic, and you might you might have given it to the child. Get help. If things are getting you down, it's important for you to recognize it. Do not internalize it. If things are getting you down, recognize it. Talk to someone you trust and see what they think. Many people go on struggling with very difficult situation, and they're not able to cope, and they're not talking to anybody about it. Friends and family can oftentimes help, and don't be afraid to ask for the help. You can repay them when things get better for you, but ask for the help if you need help. Now is not the time to act overly independent, okay? It's easy to say, take some time for yourself, but if you're going to tell me to take some time for myself, or you're going to help me out, you're going to give me some money to take the trip, or you're going to take my children for a couple of days. And one of the last things I'd like to say on this note is, go see your doctor. Go see your doctor. Just get out of the house. You're feeling lethargic, just go visit. The doctor may discover something. You may have acid reflux. You may be having a bout of depression. Important thing is to take care. There are 4 components to life, and I've always said it. The physical, move around, walk. I encourage my people in our church every week. I say, get out there to the park and walk, move your body. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. But get out of the house. It's still not that cold. So take care of the physical man. Your first spiritual responsibility, believe it or not, is to take care of your temple. You know why? Because your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost. And if you cannot accommodate the Holy Ghost, then you cannot take care of your other spiritual responsibilities. So taking care of this body. So you take care of the physical, you take care of the mental. You know, your brain is an organ. And mental problems exist. If you have a tummy ache, you're going to go to the doctor. You're going to get some painkillers. Don't just sit back and allow mental conditions to cause you to live a life that's not impressive, a life that's not efficient. So take care of the physical, take care of the mental, take care of the spiritual. Okay? Fast, pray, meditate. Now you spend some more time meditating. Don't just talk to God for 1 hour and don't stop. Talk to God for half an hour and spend the other half an hour listening to what God has to say to you and just breathe out. Learn to breathe in and breathe out. That's all a part of spiritual. And the social component, you know, you might not be able to connect physically with your friends, but reach out to some loved ones who you haven't talked to for a long time and have a conversation with them and build relationships. So take care of the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And I'm sure the medical doctor will agree with me because those 4 components are necessary for optimal living. Thank you so very kindly.
Yep, definitely agree with you. And actually, one of the things I point out to everybody that yes, we're worried about COVID, but if your body if you're following, eating right, sleeping, exercising, making sure your diet is balanced, you're going to have a better chance for fighting off the virus. So it does start with that. Pastor Franklin, and then I'll wrap up.
Yes. I just want to thank our panelists for coming on. Carlene, you did very well, my dear. And I also want to thank Dr. Noel. Final words to the family. Now is the time to be a great listener. Be a great listener. Listen also to the words your children are not saying. Their body language is actually giving you signals. They're going through a lot. They've lost some of their classmates. They're now fully online. Some students, some of your children, they learn having a teacher in the classroom. This is new for them. The next thing I want to encourage our family members to do, ask your child, how can I help you? Be patient. Wait for them to talk. Wait for them to talk. Also, get in their space. You know, many homes have this huge flat screen. Try to connect your child's computer to that flat screen. It'd be amazed to see their work on a big screen and have them just show you what it looks like to go on my ELA class. Let them show you where the homework is posted. Now they're not bringing home a printed document. Everything is an attachment. They have to open an attachment. You may ask, what's an attachment? Listen, find time to get interested in their work. If you never want to do technology, remove all fear. It's here to stay. 23%, according to the bank, of seniors are now banking online. And my last 2 words, get in their space. Get in their space. Get in their space. Set aside some family time now, if you have never done so before, and have some meaningful family time with your children, even if they're adult, and let them talk. As Pastor Gordon says, hang out with your family. And I guarantee you, before you know it, we are in the next year and you wonder, how did we cope with this? God bless you. Right. God bless you. God bless you.
We thank you. Again, we thank Dr. Gordon, thank Carlene, of course, my co-hosts, and for an awesome time of discussion. Of course, as we go out, remember, the Lord God is still in charge. No matter
Amen.
How it looks, just relying on it. Take that to the bank. All right. God is in charge. So he's going to take care of us. So all we need to do is to practice demonstrate that we have the fruit of the Spirit. Demonstrate that in our daily life as we deal with others, as we deal with our family, as we deal with our children, and communicate, talk to one another. Again, one of the things our family did is, even on the free conference line, you can actually have a video call now on that. If people don't know that, it's absolutely free. We hook up on our family we had like 30 people, and we just chat about anything. You got to do things to connect and just stay tuned. And remember, go out and vote, vote, vote. Those of us in New Jersey, I don't know what New York is doing. Everybody in New Jersey got a ballot. All you got to do is return it, and you don't have to return it to the post office. Every county has a drop box. So you actually take it back to the drop box, so you don't have to worry about whether or not, the post office is going to whatever. Right to that drop box, and then you're good. I voted a couple of weeks ago. All right? So everybody, I'm reminding, I don't know, what is New York doing? Are they doing mail?
Yes, for New York, the ballots went out. I got mine.
Yeah.
And also the census have been extended. So if you haven't done your census, that's very critical. You're not getting letters for that because it's not tied to a political face. So, but that's even as critical.
Well, actually, it's tied to political face. I have to interrupt you. They don't want you to send it back. Okay, that's really what is going. So send it back. Okay, go online. So does New York have a specific drop area, or are they using the mail?
No, we haven't done the drop box. It's still in the mail, so they haven't created a drop box. Yeah, but early voting. And then don't forget our breast cancer month, October, right?
Definitely. We're doing that before.
We're doing that before.
Breast cancer awareness. It's also, just so you know, and I think we may have to hook in, it's Clergy Appreciation Month too.
Yes, yes. Right. I thought it was faster, but yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So we'll see what we'll do with that. But listen, we're having a ball just giving out information. You notice I'm totally excited about this because it is giving out the necessary information that people need, and so we're trying to just spread the word. Everybody listening, watching, keep sharing. Go to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe. Yes. Premier Family Life Ministry, and then we're going to hook in all the other ministries. I want to get all the people of God together. Actually, that's my big dream. If we could just come together, we can do a lot. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll be in the park again on Sunday. Thank God it's going to be 70 plus.
Yes.
So
beautiful.
So we've been having church outside. So it's just awesome. God is good all the time. And we want to give blessings to one and all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Blessings. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Turning Point family, what an awesome time we just had. To all our first-time guests, we truly appreciate you for joining our live broadcast. We would like to hear from you, so please send us your comments, questions, or testimonies of how this program has impacted your life. Our email address is info@pflmi.org. Finally, if you feel led at any time to give to this ministry, please visit us at pflmi.org and click on the tab for donations. You can also give via Cash App at $PFLMIORG. We're looking forward to meeting with you live on next week's program. Have a blessed and prosperous weekend.